I promise you, I'm not losing my mind. There's a reason I'm playing that song. But before I get to that, hi everybody. It's been a while. I've kind of just been procrastinating for the past couple weeks, but you know what? I decided looking outside, it's a nice 75 degrees or 22°C for you weird people out there in fucking alien land. And I figured, you know what? It is a lovely night for it, so I thought I would record a little story time for you. That's right, it's story time. Now this is a little something from my past that I have talked about on a different podcast. Well, technically I wasn't the one talking, it was a submission and somebody else was reading it and discussing it, but that's a whole side thing. I want to talk to you about, drumroll, I'm not going to play a drum roll, the drunk texts. Oh, that's right, the drunk texts. Anybody who knows me in real life just rolled their eyes into the back of their fucking head, because this is a little something that I have talked about countless times before in real life. It's a big sort of building block shaping event in my life, but I figured it's really fucking funny and it's a hell of a ride, so I'm going to share it with everybody. Alright. First off, I need to set the scene, paint the picture, other dumb phrases that mean the exact same thing. So, the when, where, and who of this story. So this is back in, I believe it was June 9th into the 10th, 2012, which, God, it's fucking over 8 years ago. Jesus. I was hanging out with my, at the time, there we go. It only took me a few seconds to flub and fuck up. God, I can't speak. What a fucking dickhead. So, where was I? I was hanging out at my friend Justin's dad's house. He had an apartment in Smithfield somewhere. And, his dad was going out for the night. So we figured we'd hang out and, just smoke a little of the weed. That weed. That dank shit. Because back then I was a fucking degenerate who actually did that. And I thought I was cool. This is the snapbacks and Jordans hanging around the mall era of me and my friends. Yeah, I hate to admit, but I did go through that phase at like 14, 15, whatever the hell I was at this point. Anyway, so at the time I was living in Burrillville, where I lived for a few years of my life. A lot of my early teenage years were spent living up there before I moved back to my hometown. And at the time, I had a crush on a girl who was in all of my classes. Now, we had that rotating schedule that a lot of middle schools and high schools have, but they experimented with something they called teams, which is essentially a group of kids sharing the same schedule, give or take an elective or two, like if you take an extra language or some hobby sort of class. But other than that, you share the whole day. It's the same. And it turned out me and this girl, among a couple other people, shared the electives too. It was all fucking day. Morning to afternoon. Just hanging out with this girl named Jessica. I remember, it's so weird to think back now because I remember so many of the crushes and things I had in my life, and I always forget about her among a couple others. It's just enough time has gone by to where it doesn't stick anymore. God, I sound like I have fucking Alzheimer's. Anyways, so, Justin's dad leaves. None the fucking wiser that we aren't just gonna hang out and play video games or whatever the hell we were gonna do. We probably did. I mean, we thought we were the fucking Game Grumps back then. We would play games and do little commentaries, even though no one heard us. We were just a couple of fucking dickheads. Ugh, just cringy dog shit. But, so his dad leaves. And I'm going to the freezer to look for some food that I think Justin said he had. And lo and fucking behold, it might as well have started glowing gold when I opened the door, because there was an unopened, giant fucking bottle of Smirnoff triple distilled vodka. Which, back when I was this age, vodka was the shit. It was the number one drink among partying douchebag teenagers, such as myself. So I turn to him and I go, "Oh fuck, you know it's about to go down." And this friend of mine, it's funny because later I'd be nerdy, but back then he was the nerdy one of the whole group. He looked like a lesbian John Lennon, just jittery and scared to do anything risky. He is so apprehensive of drinking. He's totally willing to smoke pot and like take pot from his parents' stash, because his parents apparently smoked too. Fuck if I know what that was all about. But he didn't want to drink, and of course, me being such a sweet friend, peer pressured the dog shit out of him. And eventually I got him to go, "Okay, we got a couple 8-ounce clear glasses from the cupboard." We sat down on the couch, threw on Netflix, and started smoking out of this wooden... It wasn't really a bowl, but it wasn't really a pipe. It was weird. It folded in half. Like it had one of those elastic hairbands connecting it. It was like some Native American charm. Like if I used it, it was going to place a curse on me. It had like the wood and the painted zigzaggy lines and shit. It looked like the fucking police station from Twin Peaks with all like that wooden shit and all the lines and the lodge. And I'm going off on a tangent. Half of you have never seen Twin Peaks and don't know what the aesthetic of that show was. I keep going off track. So slowly throughout the night, we are fucking gutter smashed, gone, goodbye. Because there's this little thing that I didn't learn about until years later called synergy, which is a term that means when you use two substances, let's call them, two separate things, and the effects fuse together, it heightens the effect of both. And I'm not trying to say that to be an attractive thing. Trust me, after you hear this, you won't want to fucking try it. But we'll get to that. So through the night, at this point, I'm past the point of blackout. It had to be, I think it was like 1 or 2 in the morning. And I decide to vent via text to one of my best friends, one of the other 4 people who was in every one of those classes, about how I really felt about this girl that everyone knew I had a crush on. And it was a big inside joke with our big friend group that, oh, you should go talk to her, you should this, you should that. And she was actually kind of a part of the friend group. She was really dark black hair, blue eyes. She liked rock music. You know, in middle school, that's pretty fucking cool. Seeing as most girls look like the little girl with the fucking bag of fish in Nemo. I think it was Nemo in the bag, not a bag of random fish. I don't remember. I haven't seen that movie in forever. But it looked like that brace-faced fucking ugh. So there was this punk-looking girl, all edgy and shit. And, oh boy, do I text this friend. Let's call him Key. Because if I say his full name, anybody could find him, because it's just, I swear it's a gibberish made-up word. It's more gibberish sounding than DIDDLOTIC, which I came up with. It doesn't sound like a name. But I decided to vent. And sadly, the phone that I have the phone that I texted that from. I have all my old phones in a drawer right under the mic that I'm talking into, actually. But it's so old and even when I plug it in, it doesn't work. So I have to recall a lot of these texts from memory. And the gist of it was random letters, essentially. But you can kind of decipher. It's like one of those of you other boomers like me remember like early Facebook, and there'd be those reposts where it was like every letter was fucked but the first and last, and it was like, if you can read this, you're one of the whatever percent of people who is really, really smart, because you only rearrange a couple letters, and a lot of people can't read it, but you can. Good for you. You're really special. So it was like that. It was just jumbled fucking anagrams and a mess of jarbled shit. I essentially said explicitly sexual things that I wanted to do with this girl. Not to this girl, with this girl. I was a sweet boy. I swear to you, I was a sweet little lad who wouldn't hurt a fly, but would apparently really fuck one. Really wanted to fuck something, judging by those texts. But I think did I just say I wanted to fuck a fly? Okay, I'm not funny. Moving on. So, one of the funniest things is that I essentially created a word. Because more or less what I did was, I thought I was poetic, and when I was saying what I wanted to do with her, I made it sound super sweet and passionate, and I thought of myself as one of those douchey fucking kid poets who you throw in a couple descriptive words and suddenly you're Edgar Allan Poe. And when I tried to say the phrase burn with pleasure, and yes, that's really among the things I said, I fucking douche chills recall. I remember more, but I'm not gonna fucking say all of them. I can't bring myself to. I can bring myself to accept that I said them. I said bunner, B-U-N-R, and that became a running thing. Bunner with sex or bunner with pleasure. It was like English wasn't my first language. But so the morning when I wake up, apparently we hadn't gone to bed until maybe 5 in the morning, and like for the rest of my life, no hangover. Blackout, can't remember anything, but no hangover. And I get a text back from my friend in the morning, and he just goes, "What the fuck?" That's all he says. And I text him back, like, telling him what happened, and we just had a laugh about it. So I go back to school, life goes on, and it was just a joke between a few of our friends. And then there comes the event around it. The betrayal, as I call it. Because months went by. I actually, later that year, I think it was just a couple months later, I moved back to my hometown. And life went on, and everything with that was forgotten. Until, I believe it was November 15th, 2012. It had to be like, I don't know, 5, 6 p.m. I'm very good with times. You'll learn that as I tell more stories. I can remember things down to the minute, but I can't remember what the fuck I had for breakfast. But, so I log on to Facebook that night on my computer, because this must be before the age of apps really taking off. They were there, but you just didn't do it. Facebook and Twitter, you logged on to your laptop, and you did it that way. Unless I'm recalling it wrong. But I'm gonna pretend I'm the expert and say that's what everybody did back then. So I log on to Facebook, and I see on the little blips where it says friend request, message, and notification. That's how it used to be organized. It was those 3 tiles next to each other in the top right. I see I was tagged in something. I believe it had 159 likes and 81 comments. And I'm going to take that dramatic pause to take another sip of my White Claw, because I'm what you'd call a cunt and I drink White Claw, and my voice is drying out. There we go. I hope you all heard that, and I hope it made you cringe. I hope you heard the gulp and the noise. Hear it and go fuck yourself. But I log on to Facebook and I see that. And my friends, which I say, I'm doing the air quotes with my fingers because I'm real friends, decided, just for a laugh, just for fun, to post screenshots of my drunk texts. Yep, you fucking heard me right. My best friends, best fucking friends, decided to fuck me over for a laugh. So, before I really freak out, I'm going through the comments, and Oh, everybody I knew from that small rural town, and even people I didn't know, sure had their fucking comments. Oh, my friends weren't my friends. Her parents weren't so happy because her mom and her dad saw it. Ooh. Oh, can you imagine what their comments said? I can, because it's still burned into my fucking brain. I can never forget the literal threats I got from Jessica's mother. And what's even worse is her brother, named Larry, fucking Larry, was one of the people in that friend group who knew I had a crush on his sister. He made it a big joke. He would always tease, like, oh, should I tell her? If you're not going to go tell her, should I? Like, we were friends, though, before this point. But what I remember, I could list the people that were in this group. Like, I have a fucking vendetta list, even though years later I've more or less forgotten. I've actually made up with a couple of them, but I'm getting ahead of myself. You can imagine, this story was everywhere. Kids my age, adults older, parents, townsfolk, people younger than me, all knew this story. And I was essentially, luckily I moved because I was essentially ran out of town. Not that I had much of a reason to go and visit any friends, because I didn't really have many left, but if I wanted to, I could not have shown my face in that fucking place. No siree. Not a chance. So you can imagine, this was actually the first or second, I guess second technically, but not as big, event in my life that set me down my edgy, mentally fucked up path that lasted until, honestly, a couple years ago. I'd say 2012 to 2018 was indescribable, self-imposed mental torture. All of my stories pretty much come out of that period. I lived more life in that span than most people do. Ever. Fucking ever. This, ruined me, essentially. I remember diving into my bed and it just, I didn't scream, I didn't sob out loud. I think it was like, it was a silent cry that lasted for solid minutes. Honestly, it was fucking, it was like Michael in Godfather 3 when his daughter gets shot. Fucking spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen it, dickheads. Where she's just fucking screaming to the sky, silence, nothing, and then the sound kicks in. Just crying into my pillow like a bitch. Ugh, I should have taken a fucking rape shower. that essentially would have been, that's the equivalent of what I did. I should have curled up in the fetal position in the tub and just wept like a bitch. But so that's still not the end of it. Oh no. Because turns out I became a local urban legend. And I didn't find out through any effort. The story found me in a different area on the whole other side of the state. So let me fast forward. I believe it's 2014, 2015, 2016? I don't know. It was either my driver permit test or something for my license. I forget how it went. But I was in a class for a driver's thing. And my instructor, a real hard-ass fucking military dude, well, he thought he was military. He was a gym teacher. And I could really leave it at that. He was that guy. Military dude, but he was some old, short, gray-haired, fucking schlubby asshole. And he's the instructor. It turns out he was once a gym teacher at the high school in Burrville that I went to when this all went down in 9th grade. So he's teaching a lesson about driving under the influence and making poor decisions under the influence of the marijuana and alcohol and all that sort of shit. And he tells us when we're doing vocab synergy, which is where I got the definition I was telling you earlier. And I laughed a little bit to myself. But then he goes, when I was a teacher, I heard this one story, and guess what? He starts telling the fucking story I just told you. I'm sitting there, I'm keeping my cool. If I didn't take acting classes, I wouldn't have been able to keep a straight face. I would have lost my mind, because this is, over the years, that shit would like keep me up at night. Like I was haunted, like PTSD. I wouldn't be surprised if I shot up out of bed in a cold sweat in the dark, mid-scream from some fucking overreaction. I'm just overreacting now too. I'm exaggerating. But it still bothered me. He had no clue that the kid he was talking about was 3 desks in front of him, just listening to this sadly accurate telling. I discovered at age like 16 to 18, that I became a lesson. If I die, that's my imprint on the world. I become a don't be this guy story. As a minor. Imagine. Although it was very, very amusing afterwards to realize that. I find it funny now, but it's really fucked up. And I've actually since made peace with one of the kids who decided to post it, whose name was, he's still alive, is Chad. And when asked why he did it, he was like, because he always acted so he deserved to be taken down a peg. Now this kid was one of my closest friends. We would all riff on each other, and he was the guy in the group that he was the butt of every joke. But he would laugh and be the butt of his own jokes too. So if this bothered him, if it wore him down, he never let it be known. How are we supposed to know? And it bothered him to the point where him doing that was like taking his revenge on me. And I talked to him later, and he was like, oh my god, yeah, I can't believe I did that, I'm so sorry. When I told him how, because we talked over Instagram years later. It could have only been maybe a year or two ago from now. And he was super like, oh my god, dude, I'm so sorry. That was like not intended. We were just kids. And I was like, oh no, I understand now. But back then I wouldn't have. I literally would be like, oh, if I ever saw them again, this name, and this name, if I ever ran into them again, dark and edgy fucking teenager babble, whatever. And yeah, I mean, we sorted it out. I still follow him on some things. And wow, did I fucking peter out there. I just lost all steam after the story ended. That's the gist of the drunk text story / becoming a local urban legend in the state of Rhode Island. They didn't know names. It was just a bunch of kids talked about it. He must have been talking about synergy and stuff in a health class in Burrillville, and somebody who was involved in it must have joked to another kid who was involved in it. And this asshole remembered it. But yeah, that's it. Refreshing. I just felt like telling you that. I had the next few podcasts planned out. There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of things from my life I want to discuss and go in depth. I think I want to not only have some guests. Sorry, I'm not drinking anything. I'm just randomly fucking choking on nothing. I'm not meant to live. I'm not meant to naturally survive in this world. But as far as guests and relationship stories, I want to tell, beginning to end, probably in multiple parts because it would be too long, the fucked up dating history I've had and the lessons I've learned from it. Because I may have oversold this one, saying it was more interesting than it is, But those, oh shit. Those are oh shit. Really bad, and much more mentally damaging than this. But that's all I wrote in for my rough outline. I don't have much more to talk about. I'm going to try to do these more frequently. As I get more equipment, I'm going to do them better. You won't be able to hear my gulps and swallows as I record out of my cell phone. That's where I get my audio. I'll be getting a computer, a mic, this and that. I'll learn programs because I'm technologically inept. That's what's holding me back. I'm still slowly trying to get things off my list done. And I swear I will. I know I've been saying I swear I will forever, but I really do have to because there's very few things on my priority list, and that is one of the sets of things. So, yeah, fuck it. I'm just going to end it there. I'm not sure which my next podcast is going to be. If it's going to be either the story of my first relationship or another interesting story, or if I can get somebody I know to sit down with me and just chat about whatever the hell we both can chat about. It'll be nice to have somebody to actually bounce ideas off of, because when I talk into this, I'm either mumbling and rambling, and then I run out of steam, I stutter, and that's it. There's just pauses and breaks and uhs and yeahs and whats and crutch words because I have no one to bounce anything off of. I'm just ranting. I'm literally talking to myself. That's what I'm doing, and I'm uploading the psychotic babble onto the internet, hoping that you get some sort of enjoyment, that you subscribe. I should bring that up now. That you subscribe, like, comment with any questions or topics you want me to talk about, or literally anything. For fuck's sake, help me. This is a rudderless ship in the beginning, and any sort of guidance or topic would be really cool because it would make my job a lot easier. So as well as following me on this, it'd be really cool if you could follow me on Twitter at DIDDLOTIC. It's the same as his channel name, all caps, DIDDLOTIC. I stream on Twitch playing random shit with people or without people on twitch.tv/DIDDLOTIC. I'm going to try to include all these in the description, obviously. I have the Instagram that used to be for my music that I'm using for content, which is at TheRealDiddLotic, all one word. That was a burp. I had to duck out of the mic to do that. And before I make an even bigger ass of myself, thank you for watching. Leave any feedback. I already said that. I'm not going to say it again. Actually, I'm not going to say anything again this time. So, until next time, bye-bye.